Hi, my name is Diane Elizabeth Frkan, and I am running for Hamtramck City Council.
Are you a new candidate or a candidate seeking re-election?
I am actually a new candidate.
And how long have you lived in Hamtramck?
Well, I grew up on the border of Detroit and Hamtramck from the early 70s to mid 80s, and my family and I, we moved out. I returned back to Hamtramck in 2007, and I've been pretty much a resident of Hamtramck, except for 2 years that I lived on the Detroit side, but I was very happy to move over Conant Street and back to Hamtramck.
What is the highest level of education that you have attained?
I have a Bachelor of Arts in English and a concentration in journalism.
After finishing your formal education, what occupations have you pursued?
A lot of a variety. I spent a few years at General Motors as a technical analyst. I've also held jobs in marketing, management, retail, administrative, and I think with that almost 30 plus years of work experience will prepare me for this position in City Council, because I could draw upon those experiences from leading teams to quick thinking, handling problems, finding solutions, budgets and whatnot, scheduling. So I'm pretty confident that my work experience will prepare me for this position.
Have you ever been or currently are active in some of the organizations that are local?
No, not really. When I was in college and after college, I was pretty active in the local sorority chapter. It's a national organization, and it's taught me about philanthropy and community engagement, but I'm not involved in anything local. I do help out when I can, volunteer stuff, again, when I have the availability. But depending on what happens in the election, if I don't get on City Council, then I'm going to make sure that I'm going to pursue joining committees and getting more active and being proactive in the community as well.
Are you familiar with the way that city government works?
Yes.
Would you care to elaborate on what areas are you familiar with?
Community involvement and community engagement. I attend the City Council meetings, and if I can't go there in person, I definitely watch it on YouTube. And I think that it's important to be aware of what's happening, not just in the city, but also in the community, and bridge those two parts of the city together. And I think that's gonna help me reach out to the community, because City Council is a public representation of the city. I see it as, if you ever worked in a restaurant, which I have, you have what's called the front of the house, and you have what's called the back of the house. The front of the house is your hostesses, your wait staff, and so forth. So in this case, it would be City Council and Mayor. They represent the front of the house. The back of the house, obviously, is your cooks, your chefs, the line leaders, management. That would be city administration, those employees that work for the city. You have to work together, front and back of the house, in order to have a successful restaurant. And in this case, a well-run city where residents are happy with the service of the city, and the city also provides those services to the residents. You can't have any gaps. Otherwise, what happens? You have failure, and you have problems, and you have issues, and then no one's happy.
That's a very good comparison. And you said you have been watching or attending City Council meetings.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
Since pretty much I moved here.
Now, have you been appointed to any positions within the city?
No.
In your opinion, what do you feel the city government and that city council mayor are doing right, and what things they are doing completely wrong?
I think what they're doing wrong is a sense of transparency and accountability. Being a little bit more open into what's going on in the city and not so much closed doors. Because then that makes me as a resident and the rest of the community wonder what's going on. It's almost like a little bit of being of deception, you know? At the same time, the good part is that they're trying to help the residents in the community, trying to fix infrastructure. We had a lot of problems with flooding. What was it? 2020, 2021, I think that was like the worst times of floods. Now, because our streets, our sewer lines are getting replaced, our water lines, I've noticed less and less flooding in my own basement and that of my neighbors. So I think there is like almost an equal balance of the good and the bad. It should be more good, less bad. I think City Council needs to be more proactive and not just current, but in future. You need to be more transparent, more accountable, and more responsible, you know, in your actions, and not treat that position as something like a popularity contest, for example.
If elected to city council, are there any items that you would like to introduce right away to make changes in the way the government functions?
I know I can't change specifically the ordinances, but I would love to go through each of the ordinances and see if they need to be modified. Those ordinances were created when, you know, the city. So my guess is some of them are probably obsolete because Hamtramck today is not what was Hamtramck before. And so I think some of these ordinances need to be looked at and modified. Not so much changed completely, but modified so that it fits currently with the city, with the community. Then I would definitely look through the budget. Where's the excessive spending? What do we really need to spend the money on programs? What can we save some money on? That'll probably be the second big thing. And then again, just engage the community together. We're an immigrant city. Hamtramck is very diverse, and I feel that we have little communities in Hamtramck. So I would like to see programs and events that will combine all of the different diversities and cultures in our city. Because we're all residents, we're all neighbors.
Considering your lifestyle and the time it takes to do things that you usually do, would you find enough time to carry out the councilman's or councilwoman's duties?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Prior to this, I was, I still am, and I scaled back. I managed an Airbnb in Hamtramck, and the owners also have a rental. So that was kind of like my job for the past 3 years, just taking care of the Airbnb, from cleaning it. There's nothing wrong with being a housekeeper, to repairing any issues in the house. So I kind of scaled back from that, found somebody to take over, and pretty much I'm a housewife. I run a household. I take care of my family, and then it allows me to pursue other things. I'm a consultant on the side for the film community. I was really involved in Michigan's independent film industry, which also kind of gives me that background. As an executive producer, sometimes things change right at that second, and you have to make, you have to make changes. You have to solve what's going on, what's the problem. So I think that, my time is, I can devote it. And I want to. I want to serve this community. I want to serve the city, and I'm going to make time for it. So,
what would be the main issue that motivated you to pursue this candidacy at this time?
I think I got really frustrated with the allegations of misconduct, and sensing that the people of Hamtramck were being forgotten about, and the residents were placed on the side, and it was all for their own self-pursuit of ego or popularity or something. I felt like Hamtramck was forgotten, that we're just pushed aside. And I wanted to step in and, help this community out. And I think that was probably my biggest reasons, or my decision to step into city council, run for city council.
Have you ever presented your concerns during the city council meetings?
Yes, I have.
Now, considering that the Hamtramck has a very diverse population, do you feel that you will be able to get along with all the nationalities that are living in the city?
Absolutely. And I think if the community gives me a chance to prove that I can do this job and that I could serve them, I think they'll be surprised at what I could bring to the table. For example, I grew up in a very diverse household myself. My parents coming from Eastern Europe, and my parents divorced, my mother remarried, and she remarried a Muslim. So I grew up in a diverse household, Eastern European, Middle Eastern. My stepdad was Muslim, and so I grew up with that in the background, but I was never forced to change my beliefs. It was something that if I wanted to pursue it, I had the support of my stepdad. And that's still my family. I have a brother who's Arab American, and I'm very close to him and his family. So I grew up with that in my childhood. And those traditions that was a part of my childhood, I carry with me as an adult. Family's number one, faith, and just being a good person. The other thing I want to mention is that I am a moderator for a local Facebook group, but I like to see myself as a community facilitator. So I have a lot of residents that do reach out to me and ask, hey, do you know anyone that can help with this problem? Or do you know any rental listings? Do you have any leads on jobs? Trying to find a job for my son or my daughter, or I've got this code enforcement violation, So in the past few years, I've done what I can to help out that resident. And in a way, it's kind of like a city council position, except I'm not getting paid, but it doesn't matter. I love to help people. And I think with that background in my childhood, I understand about the different traditions, the different cultures that our city has, the different ethnic groups. I think at the end of the day, we're all residents, we're all neighbors. So I'd like to see more of our community come together in the next few years. I feel like we're a little bit, we're kind of spread out. So I'd like to see us combined and come together, because that's what community is about.
Now, from a different perspective, do you have a general familiarity with the U.S. Constitution, with the state laws, and with the city charter?
I do understand about our state constitution. It's actually a very interesting read. There are 92 pages, by the way. And I was involved in student government, not just in high school, but also college. And now I'm stepping into a candidate as city council. Laws are put in place to make changes and to provide, the laws of the land. So that kind of carries over into a city aspect. So what are the laws of the state of Michigan also pertains to the city. You have to understand what our Constitution is. If you don't, how can you represent yourself in a city if you don't know what the laws are? And it may be a city charter, which I am also familiar with, or our state constitution, if you're in that profession of being a senator, for example. We are a part of Michigan. So I think even as as a resident of the state, you should be familiar with what our laws are, what protects us, and what the state does.
And usually during the terms of office, there are possibilities to participate in seminars where you gain more knowledge about the city government. Would you be willing to participate in those seminars?
I look forward to it. I love to learn new things. I think additional training will help you prepare for any type of obstacle or any type of issues, and it gives you the understanding of what your position is about. Just with like any type of management position, regardless of what that field is, if it's sales or if it's, you know, the hospitality industry or it's marketing, training is beneficial. So I would most definitely look forward to it.
Would you be able to understand when you see it, the city budget and how it is prepared and how it works?
Like with all budgets in any type of field, you know, you have your spending, you have your expenditures, and then your saving. And like, again, I want to go through our budget in our city and just see where the money is going. Are there areas that needs more money, you know, more for the programs, or is there, you know, frivolous spending? So this will give me a little bit of some idea, and I look forward to looking at the budget. Obviously, it's a little bit different than the kind of experience that I have with budgets in my previous jobs. This is, you know, after all, the city budget, but I think that there's definitely room for improvement. And I want to see if we could bring back some programs and help areas that really need help in the city.
Does your family and friends support your candidacy for council?
Yes. It gives me an excuse to get out of the house.
And are they willing to help you attain that position?
Yes. I'm very fortunate that I have a strong, you know, family background and friends, and I am so grateful for their support and for their enthusiasm and their confidence in me, which then makes me feel confident that yes, I can do this position if elected. I hope that I'm elected. I think the community will be very surprised if they give me a chance, because I may be known on social media as this persona, but in real life, I'm very different. I'm very focused, I'm very dedicated, I'm very responsible. I like helping people, and I may not be what is the, you know, the majority of our city, but I think that I could step into those shoes and show everyone that I'm just as capable of serving and helping this community. And I hope I'm given that chance.
Is there any special message that you would like to relate to the Hamtramck voters?
Give me a chance. Let me work for you. I want to work for you. I may not be the majority of the faith, but I understand Islam. I understand about faith, I understand about tradition, I understand about family and the emphasis of culture. And I think that if you give me a chance to step into this role and be a part of City Council, I promise you that I can do good things if you just give me a chance. I don't know what else to say. I just, I'm very, you know, disciplined. I'm very serious, very responsible. I'm not here in this, you know, in this position or running just because I think it's a popularity contest or how many photo ops I can go to. I want to get into this position and do the job that's expected, because it is a civic engagement. You work for the community, you work for the people. It's not the other way around. And I think lately that's what's happening. So I want to get back into what was before. You're working for the people, the community, the city. And I think if everyone in Hamtramck just gives me a chance, they won't regret it. I think they'll be surprised. And I feel that I can, do this position.
And do you agree that we air this interview on the Comcast Channel 19 and also posted on the Hamtramck Public TV website?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much for participating in this interview, and we wish you a lot of luck in your endeavors.
Thank you. It was my pleasure being here. Thank you so much. And remember, please vote on Tuesday, August 5th. It's your voice of democracy. It is your right to vote. So there you go. Thank you.